when we're ready to roll. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. We'll call the Almont Community Schools Board of Education special meeting on June 30th of 2026 to order at 6:15 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Burrow, will you do roll call, please?
Mr. Burrow here. Mr. Eckert? Here. Mr. Burns? Absent. Ms. Ankley? Here. Mr. Wade? Here. Mr. Rotarius? Absent. And Ms. Smith?
Here.
We have 5 present.
Thank you. This is Von Heltmeyer, adoption of the agenda. Any additions?
Yes, we do have an addition. It'll be number 7, Roman numeral 7. It'll be the approval of use of facilities.
Any deletions?
No deletions?
Any amendments?
Yes, you will have a new food service fact sheet in front of you, just with a corrected typo and a new resolution for the general fund budget with a change in verbiage per our attorney-in-law.
This will bring us to our first questions and comments, or only questions and comments from the audience. Would anybody in the audience like to be recognized at this time? Hearing none? Okay. This will bring us to new business. For finance.
The Board of Education adopts operating budgets for the school district. Adjustments in the budget are to be presented to the board for approval. The board must adopt a budget which complies with Michigan law. The facts: number 1, the Board of Education adopted a preliminary budget in June 2025 for the 2025-2026 school year. Number 2, adjustments to the budget are necessary as events occur throughout the school year, which alter both revenue and expenditure budget categories. Number 3, in the revenue area, we show an overall increase of $223,080. Number 4, in the expenditure area, we have an increase of $394,610. Number 5, the revision was reviewed with members of the Finance Committee. Number 6, general fund revenues are now projected to be $19,391,803. Number 7, general fund expenditures are now projected to be $19,391,803. Number 8, leaving revenues exceeding expenditures by $0. Number 9, the general fund balance at the end of the year is expected to be $2,817,559. See attached documents for specifics. And this was discussed and recommended by committee 3-0.
Mrs. Smith?
Mr. Wade.
I move the Board of Education adopt the amended general fund budget for the 2025-2026 school year with revenues totaling $19,391,803 and expenditures totaling $19,391,803. Copy of adjustments to be marked Roman numeral X, B1, and attached to the official minutes.
Support.
Support, Mr. Wade.
Let it be resolved that this resolution shall be general appropriation of Almont Community Schools for the 2025-2026 fiscal year, a resolution to make appropriations, to provide for the expenditure of the appropriations, and to provide for the disposition of all revenues received by Almont Community Schools. Be it further resolved that the total revenues and unappropriated fund balance estimated to be available for appropriation in the general fund of the school district for fiscal year 2025-2026, which includes 18 mills of ad valorem taxes to be levied on non-homestead and non-qualified agricultural property to be used for the operating purposes as follows. Revenue, 1XX local, $1,903,361. 3XX state, $16,974,144. 4XX federal, $397,971. 5XX to 6XX. Other financing sources, $116,327. Total revenue, $19,391,803. Total audited fund balance, July 1st to appropriate, $2,817,064. Total available to appropriate, $22,208,867. Be it further resolved that $19,391,803 of the total available to appropriate in the general fund is hereby appropriated in the amounts for the purposes of set forth below. Expenditures, 1XX. Instruction, 11X. Basic, $9,397,213. 12X added needs, $2,691,075. 2XX support, 21X pupil support, $814,738. 22X instructional staff support, $261,578. 23X general administration, $469,486. 24X school administration, $1,212,566. 25X business services, $443,647. 26X operations and maintenance, $1,924,534. 27X transportation, $1,154,504. 28X other central support, $419,264. 29X athletics, $485,402. 3XX community services, $93,389. 4XX to 6XX other financing services, $24,405. Total appropriated, $19,391,803. Further resolved that no Board of Education member or employee of the school district shall expend any funds or obligate the expenditure of any funds except pursuant to appropriations made by the Board of Education and in keeping with the budgetary policy statement hitherto adopted by the board. Changes in the amount appropriated by the board shall require approval of the board. Be it further resolved that for purposes of meeting emergency needs of the school district, transfers of appropriations may be made upon the written authorization of the superintendent, but no other transfers shall be made without prior approval of the Board of Education. When the superintendent makes a transfer of appropriations as permitted by this resolution, such transfer shall be presented to the Board of Education at its next regularly scheduled meeting in the form of an appropriation amendment, which amendments shall be adopted by the Board of Education at such meeting.
Mrs. Smith,
Mr. Burrow.
I'd like to do a roll call vote.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Ms. Ankley? Mr. Burrow? Aye. Mr. Eckert?
Aye.
Mr. Rotarius is absent. Mr. Burns is absent. Ms. Smith?
Aye.
We have 5 ayes and 2 absences. Passed.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow.
Adoption of the 2026-2027 general fund budget. The Board of Education must approve a school budget by July 1st of the fiscal year pursuant to state law. The Uniform Budgeting Act requires that an appropriation for the general operating fund of the school district be approved by the Board of Education. Facts: number one, a preliminary tentative budget has been developed by the school administration for the 2026-2027 school year. Number two, revenue is based upon a per pupil foundational allowance of $10,300 and 1,346 students, 1,353 student enrollment blend. Number three, expenditures were developed utilizing a zero-based approach that has become the norm for us. The approach helps us be more accurate in many ways. Still, a number of factors, state aid bill, enrollment, utilities, health cap, MIPSERS rates, inflation impact, et cetera, are subject to change. Number four, the budget has been reviewed by board members at the June 16th work session and June 22nd preliminary budget hearing. Number five, the budget can be revised at any time during the course of the fiscal year. Number six, total general fund revenues are projected to be $19,686,628. Number seven, total general fund expenditures are projected to be $19,609,867. And number eight, the general fund balance at the end of the year is projected to be $2,894,320. Recommended by committee, 3-0.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Wade.
I move the Board of Education adopt the 2026-2027 general fund budget. Revenue is $19,686,628. Expenditures $19,609,867 as presented, a copy of which to be marked and attached to the official minutes of this meeting.
Support.
Motion and support. Mr. Wade.
Let it be resolved that this resolution shall be the general appropriation of Almont Community Schools for the 2026-2027 fiscal year, a resolution to make appropriations, to provide for the expenditure of the appropriations, and to provide for the disposition of all revenues received by Almont Community Schools. Be it further resolved that the revenues and unappropriated fund balance estimated to be available for appropriation in the general fund of the school district for fiscal year 2026-2027, which includes 18 mills of ad valorem taxes to be levied on all property except primary residence, non-qualified agricultural and other properties exempted by law, and 6 mills to be levied on commercial personal property to be used for operating purposes as follows. Revenue, 1XX local, $2,024,325. 3XX state, $17,117,450. 4XX federal, $428,526. 5XX to 6XX. Other financing sources, $116,327. Total revenue, $19,686,628. Total audited fund balance, July 1st to appropriate, $2,817,064. Total available to appropriate, $22,503,692. Be it further resolved that $19,609,867 of the total available to appropriate in the general fund is hereby appropriated in the amounts and for the purposes set forth below. Expenditures, 1XX instruction, 11X basic, $9,300,205. 12X added needs, $2,755,833. 2XX support, 21X pupil support, $940,514. 22X instructional staff support, $258,911. 23X general administration, $434,751. 24X school administration, $1,153,693. 25X business services, $454,911. 26X operations and maintenance, $1,799,555. 27X transportation, $1,140,219. 28X other central support, $691,978. 29X athletics, $564,681. 3XX community services, $84,816. 4XX to 6XX other financing services, $29,800. Total appropriated, $19,609,867. Further resolved that no Board of Education member or employee of the school district shall expend any funds or obligate the expenditure of any funds except pursuant to appropriations made by the Board of Education and in keeping with the budgetary policy statement hitherto adopted by the board. Changes in the amount appropriated by the board shall require approval of the board. Be it further resolved that for purposes of meeting emergency needs of the school district, transfers of appropriations may be made upon the written authorization of the superintendent, but no other transfers shall be made without prior approval of the Board of Education. When the superintendent makes a transfer of appropriations as permitted by this resolution, such transfer shall be presented to the Board of Education at its next regularly scheduled meeting in the form of an appropriation amendment, which amendment shall be adopted by the Board of Education at such meeting.
Is there any discussion?
No, any discussion?
Like to do a roll call vote?
Mr. Brown?
Right. Got Mr. Burns absent, Mr. Rotarius absent, Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Ms. Ankley, Mr. Burrow, aye, Mr. Eckert,
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
You have 5 ayes and 2 absent.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Move into the 2026-2027 new school year food service budget. The Board of Education adopts the operating budget for the school district. Adjustments in the budget are to be presented to the board for approval. The board must adopt the budget, which complies with Michigan law. Facts number 1, total revenues for the food service fund are expected to be $714,500. Number two, total expenditures for the food service fund are expected to be $881,457. Number three, deficit, $166,657 to spend down the fund balance. And number four, projected fund balance, $623,590, recommended by committee 3-0.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Ray.
I move the Board of Education adopt the 2026-2027 food service fund budget as presented, a copy of which to be marked and attached to the official minutes of this meeting.
Support.
Motion and support. Mr. Ray.
I got this one, Ms. Smith.
Mr. Burrow.
Resolved that this resolution shall be the general appropriation of Almont Community Schools for the 2026-2027 fiscal year, a resolution to make appropriations to provide for the expenditure of the appropriations and to provide for the disposition of all revenues received by Almont Community Schools. Be it further resolved that the total revenues and unappropriated fund balance estimated to be available for appropriation in the food services fund of the school district for fiscal year 2026-2027 to be used for the operating purposes as follows. Revenue 1XX local, $41,696. 3XX state, $336,643. 4XX federal, $283,109. 5XX to 6XX other financing sources, $0, for a total revenue of $714,501. Total unassigned fund balance July 1 to appropriate, $623,590. Total available to appropriate, $1,338,091. Be it further resolved that $881,457 of the total available to appropriate the food service is hereby appropriate in the amounts and for the purposes set forth below. Expenditures, 2XX support, 29X other central support, $881,457. 4XX to 6XX other financing services, $0. Total appropriated, $881,457. Further resolved that no Board of Education member or employee of the school district shall expend any funds or obligate the expenditure of any funds except pursuant to appropriations made by the Board of Education and in keeping with the budgetary policy statement heretofore adopted by the board. Changes in the amount appropriated by the board shall require approval of the board. Be it further resolved that for purposes of meeting emergency needs of the school district, transfers of appropriations may be made upon the written authorization of the superintendent, but no other transfer shall be made without prior approval of the Board of Education. When the superintendent makes a transfer of appropriations as permitted by this resolution, such transfer shall be presented to the Board of Education at its next regularly scheduled meeting in the form of an appropriation amendment, which amendment shall be adopted by the Board of Education at such meeting.
Any discussion? Second?
Sorry, this was an amendment. Is that correct? The date sheet? Okay. All right, thank you. I just wanted to see what changed on there.
Any other discussion?
It's just still free lunch for breakfast and lunch. Yes, all for next year, yes. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mrs. Smith,
Mr. Burrow.
may I do a roll call vote?
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Oriterius is absent. Mr. Eckert?
Aye.
Mr. Burrow? Aye. Mr. Burns? Absent. Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Ms. Ankley? Ms. Smith?
Aye.
We have 5 ayes and 2 absent.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow.
Yep.
2026-2027 Student Activity Fund. The Board of Education adopts the operating budgets for the school district. Budgets are to be presented to the board for approval. The board must adopt the budget, which complies with Michigan law. Facts number one, total revenues for the Student Activity Fund are expected to be $355,000. Number two, total expenditures for the Student Activity Fund are expected to be $355,000. Number three, projected fund balance, $456,707, recommended by committee 3-0.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Wade.
I move the Board of Education adopt the 2026-2027 Student Activity Fund budget as presented, a copy of which to be marked and attached to the official minutes of this meeting.
Support?
Motion and support. Mr. Wade.
I'll take this one again.
Mr. Burrow.
Resolved that this resolution shall be the general appropriation of Almont Community Schools for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. A resolution to make appropriations to provide for the expenditure of the appropriations and to provide for the disposition of all revenues received by Almont Community Schools. Be it further resolved that the total revenues and unappropriated fund balance estimated to be available for appropriation in the student activity fund of the school district for fiscal year 2026, 2027 to be used for the operating purposes as follows. Revenue, 1XX local, $355,000. 3XX state, $0. 4XX federal, $0. 5XX to 6XX other financing sources, $0. Total revenue, $355,000. Total unassigned fund balance, July 1st to appropriate, $456,707. Total available to appropriate, $811,707. Be it further resolved that $355,000 of the total available to appropriate in the student activity fund is hereby appropriated in the amounts and for the purposes set forth below. Expenditures, 2XX support, 296 student activities, $355,000. 4XX to 6XX other financing sources, $0. Total appropriated, $355,000. Further resolved that no Board of Education member or employee of the school district shall spend any funds or obligate the expenditure of any funds except pursuant to appropriations made by the Board of Education and in keeping with the budgetary policy statement heretofore adopted by the board. Changes in the amount appropriated by the board shall require the approval of the board. Be it further resolved that for purposes of meeting emergency needs of the school district, transfers of appropriations may be made upon the written authorization of the superintendent, but no other transfer shall be made without prior approval of the Board of Education. When the superintendent makes a transfer of appropriations as permitted by this resolution, such transfer shall be presented to the Board of Education at the next regularly scheduled meeting in the form of an appropriation amendment, which amendment shall be adopted by the Board of Education at such meeting.
Any discussion?
Mrs. Smith,
Mr. Burrow?
may I do a roll call vote?
Yes, please.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Burrow? Aye. Ms. Rotarius? Absent. Mr. Burns? Absent. Ms. Ankley? Mr. Eckert?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 absent.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow.
Moving on to the approval of use of facilities. The board may permit the use of school facilities when such permission has been requested in writing by a responsible organization or a group of citizens and has been approved by the superintendent, policy 7510. The Homecoming Planning Committee has requested the use of Almont Community School District property to hold their consumer-level fireworks display event on August 15, 2026. This event is to include a consumer-level fireworks display. That site has made the following recommendations that the organization must fulfill in order for the event to take place. First, add Almont Community Schools as an additional insured party for the certificate of insurance. Second, $2 million general liability plus $3 million umbrella excessive coverage. Number 3, complete a hold harmless and building use form. Number 4, arrange for fire and police presence for the duration of the event. And finally, the superintendent will work together with the Almont Township and Homecoming Planning Committee to adhere to the above stated guidelines per set SEG's recommendation.
Mrs. Smith?
Mr. Burrow?
I move the Board of Education approve the Homecoming Planning Committee request to use the Almont Community School District property for a consumer-level fireworks display event on August 15, 2026, if all 5 of the bullet points above are met.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
Mrs. Smith?
Mr. Burrow?
I just want to state for the community that this is at no cost to the school. This is something that the an outside organization will provide all the insurance, so there's no changes to our budget or anything based off of this.
Any other discussion? I'm not sure how to note this, I guess, but as we found out just a little bit ago, like, there's actually a ton of the board that asked, more so than the homecoming committee, so I don't know if you need to note that somewhere.
I see that, and in fact, you're correct. I feel like this is more of an ask at this time. I think originally it was the Homecoming Planning Committee, and then it's transferred over now to the township, the Almont Township, asking for this potential use of. You are correct, so that is a correct statement. That is the most recent request was by the Almont Township.
I don't believe that we should change the motion because the Almont Community, the Homecoming Planning Committee is the one that will be shooting off fireworks, not the township. So even though the township has asked if the building can be used, if the building is going to be used, it will be used by the Homecoming Planning Committee. And since they've already asked for the building use a couple of months ago, I think we're clear there.
Agreed, but it seems like maybe there was a decision to see on location for someone who's on the committee and I guess because they weren't the ones that brought those two requests. I just wanted to be clear with that. So.
Yeah, I have no problem
Yeah,
stating
so to
that.
clarify, yes, the homecoming plan committee, I think,
We would
approached.
work, I like how we
first.
we would work with,
Mhm.
obviously, with both groups, but the request ultimately this time was from, the way I understood it.
If we amend the motion, though, we have to read to pass it for them to use it.
I think the fifth bullet point would cover
Yeah,
both organizations.
yeah.
If that would satisfy the board, that's one of the reasons we put it in there.
Mr. Burrow, will you read the motion?
The Board of Education approved the homecoming planning committee request to use the Almont Community School District for a consumer level fireworks display event on August 15th, 2026, if all 5 bullet points above are met.
Could we just, renew the word request? We just say that I think as the exchange, that way if we want to use it, does that make sense? Am I overthinking the purpose here, guys?
No, we can.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to do for, is just make sure that.
Okay, then I would recommend everybody voting down the motion and not make any motion.
Okay.
Okay.
So there was motion on the table and it was second, we have discussion. All in, so we,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Nay.
And- what?
Nay.
Nay. Oh, any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay. So that motion gets denied.
Mrs. Smith,
Mr. Burrow,
I move the Board of Education approve the homecoming planning committee to use the Almont Community School District property for a consumer level fireworks display event on August 15th, 2026, if all of the 5 bullet points above are met.
Support.
motion and support, any discussion?
Mrs. Smith,
Yes, Mr. Reed.
the start of this says the board may permit the use of school facilities when such permission has been requested in writing. Do we have it in writing from the necessary group?
We did have that in writing, did I understand it?
Initially, I believe there was a building use form that was
Yeah, there was a
completed by,
building
but that was the homecoming,
Yeah.
the homecoming committee.
Any other discussion?
I just want to say that I absolutely love this idea, and that I've gone to the fireworks at the homecoming committee for years, and they've always done it at the school, and I absolutely love this idea.
Any other discussion?
Mrs. Smith,
Mr. Reed.
from the other end of the aftermath, so to speak, is that there's a lot of shrapnel left on our facilities that then the school is responsible to take care of. So those are considerations that we need to have in place, that as they go through, that the remnants of the fireworks are then scattered along the property. So where they were at, parking lots, football fields,
So we need that clean up.
where we need from the plan.
Okay, we will note it. Any other discussion?
They did discuss that at the homecoming committee, and they said that the fireworks is going to be able to clean up after themselves, so I'm sure, yeah, you find what kind of put that. Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This will bring us to questions and comments from the Board of Education. Any questions or comments at this time?
I just wanted to say that, I understand that the budget had to be approved June 30th. The board does 3 things. They hire a superintendent, they approve the budget, and they approve policy. And being a new board member and not fully understanding everything, I mean, the budget's difficult. I really feel like that we should get, not that we couldn't have a committee, but the committee brings everything to all the boards, so we aren't looking at it a couple months or a couple weeks ahead of time, that we fully understand what we're looking at.
I agree with you. Thank you. We can do better. And we will. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you for the time you put into it, Kathy. It's much appreciated and very speedy about.
Any other questions or comments? Want to wish Joe good luck for your last meeting with us, and I would like to wish Mrs. Von Huntmeyer a happy retirement.
Thank you.
And last meeting with us. Thank you. And any future agenda items? Okay. Mr. Burrow.
Ms. Smith, I move the Board of Education and the special meeting on June 30th at 6:45 PM.
Support?
Motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.